helmet idea, it wasn't a good idea, right? We can agree that was kind of a bad idea. But here's what's interesting about that. My decision to only wear a helmet wasn't wrong. It wasn't wrong. It was unwise, right? But it wasn't like legally wrong. I didn't like break any laws. I didn't lie or cheat. Some choices like obviously fall into the either right or wrong, good or bad categories, right? Like murder, clearly wrong all the time, every time. Murder's wrong. Nod your head if you agree. Okay, there's that one psychopath in the back of the room, but that's fine. We won't talk about them. Stealing. I wasn't even talking about you. But if you feel guilty about it, then that's okay. Stealing, cheating, undoubtedly, not good things, but you already knew there are a lot of things, most things aren't so simple, right? For example, lying, right? Lying, flat out wrong. Nod your head if you agree. Lying is flat out wrong. But don't we try to justify it sometimes? Like what if there are special circumstances, right? And we've all been here. Say you have a friend who would be extremely hurt if you were honest with your opinion about the outfit that they were wearing. Does this look good on me? No. Does this look good? And you're going, man, that was awful. But you know if you tell them the truth, they're like going to be so hurt. And so maybe you lie a little bit. You go, yeah, I mean, it's okay. What about, like this was me in school, you didn't forget to do, you just didn't do your homework. But it would be easier like to make up some story about why you didn't do it or why you couldn't tell the truth, right? It's easy, these little white lies that we justify all the time, like almost every day. But we all agree lying is wrong, right? How about the boundaries when it comes to things like physical intimacy with someone of the opposite sex? Maybe you've heard church people talk about how sex was made to happen in marriage, but isn't it true that we'd kind of like to treat physical touch kind of on a sliding scale also, right? I mean, there's a whole range of things that happen before sex, so what about kissing? Is that right or wrong? And how far can we go before what seems okay turns into something that's wrong? Are you really supposed to not do anything until marriage? Or is it everything is okay before marriage? How do you know? How do you know? Okay, let's get really real. What about your friends? What about your friends? We've all got that one friend who makes bad decisions. Like they're not a bad person necessarily, but they make bad decisions. And I said this last week about the sarcastic person. If you don't know who that is in your friend group, it's probably you. So they're not a bad person, but it just seems like they always make bad decisions. So what do you do with that? Like maybe they don't even pressure you to join them in their bad decisions, but over time, some of their language, some of their habits, some of their decisions, they start to rub off on you. But are you really supposed to just dump a friend? Are you really supposed to just walk away from someone? And aren't Jesus followers supposed to be basically friends with everybody? Like, what are you supposed to do with a good person who isn't necessarily good for you? Like, maybe nothing seems more gray than what you post, right? On the socials. You know by now what to post to get a few or a lot more likes. And after all, like, everyone does it, right? But the things that get more posts often toe the line of what's inappropriate, right? So most of the time, the things that get the most likes are things that maybe aren't things we should be doing or posting. And whether it comes at the expense of your reputation or the reputation of someone else, they're the kind of posts that may be just a little bit awkward or straight up haunt you at your first job interview like years from now. Let me just tell you something. Let me just speak truth to you. What you put on the internet is never going away. It will be there forever. Forever. Raise your hand if you've heard of MySpace. Yeah. All right, a couple of you guys. MySpace was the first social media platform for teenagers because their Facebook came out and, kids were on it for a while, and then old people like me got on it, and all the cool kids said, we don't want to be on this anymore, and then they went to Facebook. My oldest son, who will be 30 at the end of this year, he had a MySpace account. And he's a typical teenager. He's like 14, he's 15, he's got his bedroom down in the basement. Mom and dad can't monitor everything he does. So what's the very first thing he posts on MySpace, on his MySpace page? He's got his shirt, and I'm keeping it modest. He didn't. He's got his shirt bearing his chest, that selfie bathroom chest picture. If you're smiling, it's because you did it. Don't do this. He took this picture of his chest and his ripped, skinny abs and his ridiculous emo hair, and he posted it on MySpace. Do you know what the first thing to show up if you Google his name? He's almost 30. The very first picture that shows up if you Google his name is his MySpace cover photo. It never goes away. What you post will be there forever. So, should your profile be full of what gets the biggest response? I mean, after all, isn't that the whole point of posting in the first place? We must think about the future. And you could probably think of a million scenarios like these where the situation isn't as easy as saying, man, this is right and this is wrong. Every day we encounter situations that fall somewhere in between that. Situations won't always have a clear, this is good and that's bad answer. So the question is, how do you make decisions when the answer isn't obvious? When it's not an obvious right or wrong, good or bad, how do you make decisions in that space? And there's a word that summarizes the answer to those questions, and that word is wisdom. Wisdom. Now, there are a few ways to explain wisdom, but here's a simple way to think of it. Wisdom helps us avoid foolish decisions like taking a bathroom chest selfie and posting it on MySpace. And that's what this series is all about. Wisdom is really what stands in the gap between amateur and pro thinking, between rookie mistakes and decisions that you'll one day be proud of. Over the next few weeks, we're going to look at some big ideas from the book of Proverbs. And if you're not familiar with the Bible, Proverbs is a collection of thoughts and sayings and instructions about life and other insights that are full of wisdom. Now, much of Proverbs was written by someone named Solomon. He was a king in ancient Israel, and at the time, Solomon was considered one of the wisest people in all of history. And as we'll talk about over the next few weeks, Proverbs is a great place to go when you don't know what to do. For example, check this verse out. Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. And we're going to break this down a little bit. Trust God, right? Trust the one who made everything, including you, who knows everything and who knows how everything works. Plus, as Jesus made clear, he's a God who absolutely loves you, which means he can be trusted. So trust God, right? Trust God's understanding, and then don't rely on your own, right? And I'll admit that this feels a little weird, right? You should trust yourself, right? You should trust yourself. And we should all go with what our gut's telling us, right? All right, mostly yes. If you're in a dangerous situation and your gut tells you to run or yell for help, like there's a strange man with a white van offering you candy, like trust your gut, right? As long as your gut says don't get in the van. If your gut says get in the van, let's talk after church because we got to do something. You're making terrible decisions. Sometimes we need more than just our gut instinct, though. Imagine if your younger sibling wanted to argue with you about what happens at the end of Stranger Things. Your younger, this is a pretend, right? Your younger sibling wants to argue with you about what happens at the end of Stranger Things, but they've only seen the trailer, right? All they've seen is the trailer to the show, and you've seen all of it. You've watched the entire show, and they've seen 2 minutes of it. I don't have to tell you this, but you know that you'll have a better understanding of how the show ends because you've seen the whole thing, right? Nod your head if you agree. Good. The way God sees our lives works in a similar way. Think of it like this. Think of a situation in your life. Here, all right, we'll use this. Imagine you're home and you're alone and you're a little hungry And so you go to the fridge and you pop the door open, and there sitting in front of you is a piece of pizza that it's been in there for a while. I'll let you decide how long. But it's been a long time, and you're trying to decide whether it's okay or not to eat. And the situation is represented by this dot. Go ahead and show that, right? This is your decision. Am I going to eat this pizza that might be slightly sketchy? This is my reference point. So maybe you're 14 and you've been in this situation before. This is not, it's like your first time deciding whether you want to eat sketchy pizza or not. Like you take it out and you look at it like there's no mold on it or anything. Like it's not growing a beard. So what could it hurt? Like you take it out, you eat that pizza, and then maybe you don't feel so good the next day, right? New situation. Maybe you're a senior and you've been in a situation like this 3 times and you've seen it happen 3 other times. And at least twice, someone's gotten sick from eating old pizza. And that's represented by these dots. So a little bit more experience with it, right? You've seen it happen. You've done it yourself. You've known some other people that ate sketchy pizza. Some of them got sick. Other people haven't gotten